The following podcast is a mass media production.
Hey, this is Chad Namiro.
And I'm Kelley Namiro. Welcome to the Balancing Chaos podcast,
A lifestyle podcast where we will interview guests about wellness, business, and just about everything in between.
Our goal is to help you develop a lifestyle that promotes health, wholeness, and success. Through our conversations, we hope to inspire you to live a beautiful, full, and joyful life as you navigate balancing the chaos.
We hope you enjoy. Looking for the trusted resource for luxury Las Vegas real estate? The Ivan Share Group is the expert in the Las Vegas luxury real estate market, specializing in high-end homes and luxury high-rise properties. The Ivan Share Group is a dynamic team of leading real estate experts dedicated to client satisfaction. Their extensive expertise in Las Vegas and Henderson allows them to help luxury homebuyers find their dream homes no matter what their needs are. They're dedicated to helping you buy, sell, or invest. Contact Ivan and his team directly at 702-315-0223 or visit www.isluxury.com to learn what they do differently. The Ivan Share Group is luxury and your trusted resource for luxury Las Vegas real estate.
Hi, Jess. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We are so excited to talk to you. I have people in my DM inbox all the time asking about how to grow strong, healthy hair and hair extensions. And I think that it's just something for women that makes us feel confident when our hair looks good. It's like a whole new level of feeling like you are who you are and like shining that out into the world. And for men too, I think that like, it's really important. I mean, I know Chad takes a lot of pride in his thick, healthy hair.
I spend a lot of time on my hair.
You don't spend a lot of time on it, but you like the fact that it's thick and it hasn't started receding yet. I think men get self-conscious about that too.
I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah. And it's genetic, but there are things that you can do to keep your hair nice and healthy and strong. So we're really excited to have you with us, Jess, today because you've been doing this forever and you're the expert. So let's dive in today. We like to like separate our questions out a little bit. I ask more wellness type questions. Chad asks more business type questions, but we cross over and we cross paths. So tell us a little bit about how you got started doing hair, because I know you've been doing it like since high school, right?
Yes, I always knew I wanted to do hair. Ever since I was a little girl, I was the one cutting my Barbie's hair in those half dolls, that was just the shoulders up. Like I learned how to French braid on them. And I always knew I wanted to do that. So I graduated high school a year early. I wanted to hurry up and do hair as soon as possible. Got my license when I was 18 and started doing hair right away. It was not easy. I got pregnant when I was 18 also, had my first child at 19.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know how I did everything that I did, but it was a lot of work. A lot of times, like I was paying more money to work than I was actually making probably for a couple of years.
It's a good sign that you love what you're doing.
I think so. Yeah, it was really a struggle, but I was very passionate and loved it and knew that it would pay off. So that's how I got started into doing hair. And, I think I assisted for 2 years, definitely, and assisting under somebody who is really good at what they did and taking in and learning as much as possible. I remember I came home after my first day with assisting and I called my mom. I was so excited. And I said, the sound of his shears is like music to my ears. Like it was so corny, but I just loved it. And I wanted to be able to cut hair like him. So I feel like today I can. And I'm like, I really think you have to put the time in to be successful. So,
and that's like the clientele that you have built has absolutely proven that. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I think, how to retain clients is huge. And you have to continue to educate yourself. And, I think that was just the start of it and always be willing to learn. So from there, I went after 2 years of assisting, I went to a salon and started renting a booth for $250 a week. Still wasn't even making that. I was, spending $250 in product, $250 in rent. Sorry. But, it was just sitting there from 9 to 6 every day, waiting for walk-ins and building my clientele and handing out cards and trying to promote myself the best I can. Yeah. And, eventually I'd say it took 2 years to get a good solid clientele and just pre-book everybody before they leave and be consistent.
Yeah.
So.
What's like the normal process for becoming an expert in this field? You said you assisted. Do most or some go to school, or is there multiple ways to get trained up? I'm honestly not familiar. I think it'd be interesting.
There's different amount of hours that you need per state. Here you needed to get 1,800 hours in Nevada.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, it did take me, I'd say 18 months to finish school. At the time I was young. I had just graduated high school right when I turned 17. And I started a couple months later in school. So I'd go to school from 8 to 2, and then I would work 3 to 11. And then I would go out from 11 to 3. And then
somehow you still had a baby.
I know. And then sometimes make it to school, sometimes not. But it took me about 18 months to finish my education in school before I could take the test and get my license. And so not everybody.
1,800 hours. I think you need like 100 to be a pilot. So it's pretty rigorous, but good.
Intensive, but good. You don't want to get burned by that bleach.
People's looks.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the one thing that a lot of people are going to want to know, and what I want to like to jump right into, are tips for strong, healthy hair. Because even before I became a health coach, like when I started seeing you years and years ago, I think you had told me something. I was like, oh, my hair is breaking off. And you had told me something like, oh, look at your diet. And I was like, my mind was blown. So can you give us your tips for healthy hair, and what, if somebody isn't having like, the greatest growth, or it's always breaking, what might be causing that?
Definitely environmental. What you're putting into your body is how everything in your body is going to function and react. So to have a healthy diet, to have plenty of rest, to, not live a stressful life, which for the last 13 months has been almost impossible for our world right now. So, I mean, I've had clients come to me who have experienced alopecia and, different types of hair loss because of the stress. So definitely diet and what you're putting into your body is going to promote healthy hair growth and to strengthen. And then how you protect it, when it is growing healthy is a huge factor also. So
are there certain things that you would recommend for people in terms of what they could do? Okay. So I know that just from doing my own research, being a health coach, that like protein and fat are really important in terms of what you're eating. But are there any supplements you would recommend or products you would recommend for somebody who's trying to grow thicker, longer hair?
Yes, I haven't done a lot of research on this because it's funny. I have clients who will come in and I'll tell them like, oh my gosh, your hair looks and feels incredible. Are you doing anything different? And I had a client who her hair grew, I swear, like 3 times the length from, in 3 months time. And she had told me that she had started taking collagen pills, and she was taking 6 of them a day. And I don't know about the dosage. You're better off knowing on that than I. But her hair had grown so much and was so healthy and shiny. So I think collagen, I think all the hair, skin, and nails supplements are definitely helpful. Yes.
How much does we all live in Vegas. How much does climate have to do with it, and the dryness in the air? I know it affects my skin and certainly other things, but does that play a factor too?
Yes, you have to moisturize your hair just as you do your skin, because it's going to get dry and brittle and break off. So it's really important to keep your hair as moisturized as possible, from the inside out.
I know that when you're doing my hair too, we were just talking a little bit about like tips and things that you can take to make it grow longer, but protecting it, like we had just said, what's something that someone can put on their hair like before they heat style or something like that? I think that like getting to the nitty gritty of like what exact products you like is good. I think that's like the gold that people are looking for.
Okay. I could tell you a few of my favorite products for, to protect your hair from sun damage and heat and, wear and tear from your hair bands and sleeping. Product wise, I love, like, before you're going to when your hair is wet and out of the shower to put a leave-in cream. Right now, I love the Olaplex number 6. It's
Okay.
a cream. They also have a number 7, which is an oil. Either one of those, like while your hair is wet before you comb it, it's going to detangle. It's going to protect your hair from any wear and tear on it. And from
Does the oil make your hair look oily?
No, it doesn't. But if your hair is fine, then that's why I recommend using the cream.
Okay.
You know, if you have like medium to thick hair, then the oil will be fine. But if you have finer hair, I would definitely use the cream.
Okay.
Just a small amount. Any kind of leave-in, Kerastase. I love all of their leave-in creams to start your styling regimen. And then I think I just showed you the L'Oreal Professional. The leave-in spray is one of my all-time favorites. It's called 10-in-1, and it does everything for your hair. And it's not heavy, so you could use as much as you want, and it's not going to weigh your hair down.
Okay, perfect. And when it comes to styling, I'll let Chad take over after this because I know there's some questions he wants you to ask you about business. But when it comes to styling, how many times a week would you say is good versus how many times are you like, when are you overdoing it? When are you taking like your own oils and like stripping them out of your hair and causing more damage to your own hair? And I'm washing my hair like twice a week, but I don't know if that's too much or not enough. So what do you think?
It's actually not the washing and conditioning of your hair that is stripping the oils and into your hair. And I think a lot of people have that confused with, using a lot of heat on their hair. It's the heat that is damaging. It's the blow drying and the hot tools. And that's what's damaging to your hair. You actually want to stimulate your scalp at any time, even for you, Chad. Like if you want, you have a great head of hair, like you have no receding at all.
Thank you.
For anybody who has any receding, you always want to manipulate your scalp. You always want to, massage your scalp and any part of your body, like your face when you're washing it, your body when you're washing it. Like any kind of stimulation is going to stimulate the follicles.
And the blood flow, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's going to promote growth. So it's not drying out your hair or stripping it from natural oils. It's actually going to stimulate it and help. It's when you get even a body massage, So
for all the guys out there who are balding, have your wife massage your head
and all the
2 times a day.
Husbands to give them a scalp massage.
Right. So what's too much with the blow dryer though?
Blow drying your hair, you do need to have your blow dryer on high heat, and you need to stretch the hair in order to have like a healthy, shiny blowout.
Right.
You don't want to, there's a way to blow dry your hair where you don't have the heat directly on the hair as you are stretching it on the brush. You want to always have the blow dryer directed away from the hair, downward in a way, just so it's not 100% on it. So it's still going to smooth and close the cuticle. It's just not going to burn the hair or shatter it.
Make it break.
Yes.
This was a tip you taught me last time, and I honestly had no idea about this. So is there too many times a week that you could do that, or could somebody blow dry their hair every day and be totally fine?
You can blow dry your hair every day. You always just want to use a heat protectant. It's so important because we spend so much money on our color and so much money on all of these, treatments we're doing on our hair. Like, why wouldn't we protect it? That should be the number one product that we will not go without, is a heat protectant for our hair.
Okay.
Definitely.
I love it.
And the nozzle on the blow dryer.
Yeah, I was like lost the nozzle on my blow dryer, but I have a Briogeo heat protectant that I really like, and now I'm just gonna find my nozzle and make sure that I'm using
nozzle. Bringing that over next time.
From a male's perspective, or at least mine, I think questions I have are, how often do you recommend like shampooing and conditioning your hair? Like, I think I do twice a day, most days.
Twice a day?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Why are you shampooing that much?
Hear me out, because if I don't, I get dandruff. So that's part of like my second question. What is dandruff? Is it preventable? And then how associated is dandruff to the products you use?
Twice a day.
Yeah, twice a day is a little excessive, but I can't even get my boyfriend to give a proper shampoo for like over 30 seconds. So that's really good. At least you're spreading well.
Every time I shower, I'm just
Got in.
It's part of the process.
Right.
That's what I do.
Well, I don't think that it's going to dry your scalp out if you are shampooing and conditioning with the right products. If you're using hydrating or moisturizing shampoo and conditioner, it's going to be okay. You're not going to get dry scalp. If you do get dry scalp, then you need to switch it up and try something else. And sometimes that happens with me. If I stick with the same shampoo and conditioner for months and months, I feel like my hair is kind of dull, my scalp is itchy. I switch it up, then it's feeling much better and healthier.
But all in all, you recommend maybe once a day on the shampoo and condition.
What is
and you save some money.
Is dandruff just dry scalp? It's not like anything else beyond that, just dry.
Well, it could be. I mean, for us, if we're using dry shampoo, it could be a buildup of dry shampoo and products. And too, hairspray, like sweat. It definitely is.
Things that like build up on your skin.
Gnarly.
It's so gross. I didn't know that. Oh my God.
And then is there other products outside of like Head and Shoulders, which I assume is probably
Oh my gosh. Don't. Do not use Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, I assumed it's not great for you.
There's actually scrubs for your scalp.
Briogeo has one too, and Kerastase has one.
Can't use
and Orbe.
My head itch.
Orbe has a great one. My dad, he has super dry skin. His scalp everywhere, he's so dry. So it's good to use a scrub on your scalp, I'd say once a week until you start to see it.
Is that like
just like your skin?
Just put it in after you condition and just kind of leave it in there or something?
You can like when you're massaging.
I'm a 2-product guy with the hair, so I'm like.
I've gotten him on a skincare regimen. Like you actually started one after Dylan was on the podcast. You asked me last night about the serum that you were using, the Grown Alchemist one. Anyways, I've gotten him on to a small regimen, so maybe we can start getting a little.
Yes, now you got to get him on
with the hair. Right, exactly.
You start with the scrub, then the shampoo, then the conditioner. The shampoo is going to get
just only one more thing, and then you don't have to use Head and Shoulders.
It's like 33% more. I don't know.
I'm throwing that out.
Okay, though, that's helpful.
Okay, so let's talk about extensions really fast. I know that you have nothing to do with this conversation, but I
took mine out.
We could talk about color too for men. I mean,
yes, let's talk about extensions and then color. So everyone who follows me pretty much knows that I have extensions. I love them. I don't ever want to take them out, even though my husband tells me that I should, because he thinks that I spend a lot of time doing my hair, but it makes me feel good on them. And so, my hair is probably like shoulder length, if like your length. If I took them out. But it's also fine. So I think that to give people are always messaging me like, what kind of extensions do you have? And I think that it's different for every person based on two things. One, what type of hair you have, and two, what look you're looking for, like how much volume and fullness you're looking for. So can you tell people about the different types of extensions that you do or that just exist, so that like what they're best for? And then we'll talk about like which ones are less likely to damage your hair.
Okay. Sure. So the types of extensions that I do, I mean, I've done all of them. I swear I've just found what works best for me and for my clientele, and what is not going to damage their hair. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about extensions, that they do damage your hair. And it's not the extension that damages your hair. It's the installation of the extension. So if you have so much hair put on such a small, tiny piece of your natural hair, of course, over time, the weight and the tension of that is going to destroy your hair. And that's where we have to be careful. So you have to make sure that the distribution of where the extensions are is going to not be putting so much tension on your natural hair. So that being said, it's the different techniques of extensions. There's tape-ins, there's wefts, there's individuals. I like wefts because, the beaded wefts, I love the Boheme Seamless Luxe is the brand I'm loving right now, because the seam is so thin that you can layer a couple wefts at once and it's still seamless. Like it doesn't feel lumpy or, it looks very natural. But then you can also customize that to each person's density of their hair. So if they're very fine, I could put 1 or 2 of those wefts. If they have more coarse hair, then I could layer 3 to 4 of those wefts on one row. And then
and you can make more or less beads, right? So that you can adjust to how much weight is going to be on their head for how
where the pressure or where the points are of contact. So definitely, I always like to put my beads along the weft about an inch apart, just because, why not? Why not have as little tension as possible as it grows out? Yes. So that's one technique. And I love the wefts. And I think that the maintenance on those is less timely than the other ones, Chad, believe it or not. I know it takes a long time.
Wow.
But
Thank you for that.
to do a full head of individual extensions, it's about 2,000 strands we would put in somebody's head of
so crazy
individuals, it's.
And what's the frequency?
And you would probably do that every 6 weeks, right?
You can't reuse the hair that I do. I use great lengths extensions. So
if you're gonna do individuals, you can't reuse them. But if you do the wefts, you can reuse them.
Yes. So I'm sorry. I think I said 2,000 strands. It's not 2,000 strands. It's we put about 500 strands, but still, it's
a lot.
Yeah.
It would be about 8 to 10 hours work compared.
And how many weeks can you wear those for?
Yeah. So that hair is put in and it's taken out, anywhere between 3 to 5 months, and you can't reuse it. So, it's costly and time consuming, but the look of the individuals is, it looks very natural because each strand is like, it blends in perfectly with your hair. And if people like to throw their hair up in a messy bun, like you don't have to fight with hiding them so much. Like it's attached by like a little tiny grain of rice at the top is what it looks like. But, that's another technique. And I love doing those. Actually, I have a client who really wants some like really light blonde pieces, but she doesn't want to damage her hair. So a great way with adding extensions for color is you can add, just add like a little row of extensions on the side or wherever, just to give it some pops of brighter colors without damaging the hair.
I love that. That's a really good idea for people who don't want to like put that type of bleach in their hair. So
or fun colors too. Like
you could do some like Billie Eilish green going.
Yeah, next time.
That'd be sick. I'd support that.
So for someone who was looking to do this for the first time, what is the most expensive? What is the least expensive? And what would you recommend overall? Would you recommend the wefts? Would you recommend the wefts is what I have, but what would you recommend to somebody who is going to do this for the first time? Based on price and first time.
So somebody who doesn't know if they're going to even like the feel of extensions in their head, I think it really depends on the look that they're wanting. I had a client recently come to me who had her hair cut really short, thinking that she was going to love it. She loved it the first day when she came home from her appointment, but then, so she had it cut by another stylist. So she just came to me for extensions and to help fix this. So
you're like, this is not my problem.
Yeah, not me. So she had just turned 50. She cut her hair short. She hated it. And now she's wanting to grow it out. With her, I recommended doing wefts. And what we did is we just put them on the sides of her head because we grew it out into like a short bob. And so it gave her the look, that she was wanting to see in the mirror, like to have length in front of her face. And then now we're just working on growing it all out, which is a process. So to add just on the sides, for a grow out haircut that you're not happy with, I think starts around $1,200. And that's for wefts. And then,
and that's the hair and the installation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then, for somebody who is just wanting to, like the lady who I have who wants to add some like blonde pieces on her side without damaging, it's like to add, just to see if you like it, for maybe 5 pieces on each side. It's going to be about $150. So very little, like just, but my girlfriend had said, well, did you tell her now she's going to be hooked for life and it's only going to get more expensive?
So true. So true. Yeah.
I mean, how many clients do this regularly versus for like a big event or an occasion? You know,
So
what percentage of your clients?
I have another client who, whenever she goes on a tropical vacation, she's going to Turks and Caicos. She has very curly, thick hair, but she always gets a full head of Great Lengths extensions before she goes, because her hair, like the hair kind of adheres to yours. It marries together with yours. So her curl and her wave is perfect with the extensions. So she could go in the ocean and she could just let it go. And it's so beautiful and just wavy. So she loves it for vacation. But I've also heard, other stylists or, clients don't recommend like going in the ocean with extensions and at all saltwater. But the Great Lengths hair is so nice that as long as you're brushing it and treating it and taking care of it, it's going to stay nice the entire time you're wearing them. Yeah. So it's just important that you always keep the root, the bond dry as much as possible. Like I never recommend going to bed with wet hair, never putting your hair in like a wet ponytail and a hat on, because when your hair is wet, it stretches. And then when it dries, it shrinks. So if it's in a tight ponytail and it's stretched out, when it dries around that band, it's going to break. It's going to damage your hair. Same with going to bed. Such a good tip. Okay. I mean, silk pillowcases is really helpful too. But if you're going to bed with wet hair or putting a hat on with wet hair, it's going to break and damage your hair. Definitely.
Shit. I do that all the time.
So that's for people who have extensions and don't have extensions, like wet hair, like do not.
Wet hair is never bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shit.
If you, my last question on extensions, okay, and then
I don't see any breakage happening on you.
There's no breakage that I know of.
What are your tips? If so, say this person this fictitious person we've been talking about, it's their first time getting extensions. They just they had their little side wefts put in and now they're going to go home. What are like 3 of your top extension care tips that you would tell them? And let's leave it. We know you just said the one about not going to bed with your hair wet. So what are 3 others?
To always brush your extensions. A lot of people think that, you don't want to touch them. You don't want them to fall out. Like you don't want to move, or you actually do have to brush them and make sure that they do not get matted. And individuals sometimes will twist together. So you want to make sure you separate them if they do, and always brush over the bond. So brushing them is important. Washing them, not washing your hair like Chad probably does, like all vigorously, but with extensions, you really want to like treat it like it's cashmere, like, just real gentle down your hair. Like you don't ever want to like scrub it up. Okay. Your scalp you want to scrub, but with extensions, always
like your hands together, nice and okay.
It'll rip it right out, right? Okay.
Definitely.
Loosen
and
it.
Then a third tip. I don't know if you need a third tip. Call me if anything else happens.
Okay. You told me to like braid my hair or like put my hair, like don't like sleep just with all your hair out, because you can pull it when you toss and turn. So.
Definitely. Yes. I was thinking the short hair. She didn't need that, but definitely always like a low ponytail with like a scrunchie.
Soft scrunchie.
Soft. Yes.
Okay.
Or a braid. Yes. I mentioned the price on extensions, like on the low end. I didn't say like, what it could go up to. And I think Chad was asking,
oh, did you?
How often you have to do this or upkeep it or the hair. Yeah. But that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry to jump back.
No, go. I think that's a good point.
With wefts, that's good because you can reuse the hair. With the individuals, it's a lot of money that you can't reuse. But the wefts, it's also pricey too. It ends up being around the same. But with maintenance and people will say, oh, I can't afford the Great Lengths individuals because it's so much up front, but you're spending about the same as you would on the wefts with all the maintenance every month that you need to have them move the beads up. So, I mean, you could spend anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000, on hair and installation. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It's like going to the auto shop. Where does the hair come from? I've always been curious. Is it real?
Yes.
Is there like market fluctuation? Honestly, I've been fascinated by it.
I think that would be one thing that's really important to say. Like, I don't think you want to put synthetic hair on your head. Like if that's where you're getting your extensions, please don't do that.
Definitely not if you're going to put any heat on it, because it will shrivel up and burn and not be good. But 100% human hair is all I use. And Great Length comes from, it's 100% ethical, and it comes from temples in India where people go willingly and donate their hair. It's an honor for them to donate their hair. And it's crazy to me because you can get it in lengths of 8 inches all the way down to 26 inches. And so people grow their hair their entire lives and donate it. So
that's some
cool.
good genetics when you can grow your hair to 26 inches. That is some good genetics.
And is
but
it
there
already
is a black market for hair? So you have to be careful too when traveling, like to foreign countries. I've heard that people will cut your hair off if you have great hair.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Shit, you gotta be careful out there. And is there like any market fluctuation with the pricing, or has it stayed pretty consistent, or is it like most markets and it's gotten more expensive? With
wholesale or with, it definitely has fluctuated. Prices definitely always are going up. I've never seen them go down.
Right.
At the beginning of the show, you mentioned that some people have come to you with this like alopecia or like this hair loss during COVID. So I have a couple of questions with regards to that I know the answers to, but I don't think that a lot of our listeners do. So when it comes to that, is that reversible? And would you recommend for people, like if they came to you and said, I'm losing my hair here at my temples or whatever, can I get extensions? What would you say?
I had somebody recently ask me if they can have extensions and showed me their hair in their temples that is either broken or has fallen out from stress or age. And my response to that is definitely has to be, per consultation. You cannot attach hair to hair that is damaged and is clearly falling out. It's not going to promote growth. That's not the stimulation that we're talking about earlier. So I wouldn't recommend putting it on somebody's hair who is damaged and broken. I would try to, if it's damaged and broken in the temple areas, I would go in areas where it is healthier, and you can put like even a piece there to cover up the receding or wherever they're worried about, showing. So there's definitely alternatives, but I wouldn't recommend, attaching something else to something so damaged, hair to damage.
I think it's just like based on what's causing the hair loss is what determines whether or not it's reversible. Is that right?
Yeah. So alopecia, it definitely, I'm not sure the correct term for it. I don't think, I do have a client who she experienced alopecia during COVID and had started using a medication, and her hair is growing back and it's much healthier. And I think like her circumstances have changed too. So once you, focus on yourself and getting healthy and not letting the stresses of everything going on in the world deteriorate our body, then that's when we start becoming healthier.
Seeing that. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to color. When it comes to color, we all spend all this money. We all want it to last as long as it can, but our hair grows and our roots grow out. So what are things that we can do to really extend the life of whether it's our highlights or someone who's getting color on their roots? What can we do? I actually colored Chad's hair a couple times when we were in college. It didn't last very long.
Once. And then you just got to roll with the grays. Be coloring out there, guys.
It actually is coming back, the grays, you got to embrace it.
I think it looks so good.
Well, yeah, George Clooney did a lot for the male species.
I love it.
More and more of my clients, I am not doing a base color on. Like the older you get, it's just like your makeup. I feel like if you're wearing more makeup and you're wearing harsher colors in your hair, it just ages us. So we want to look younger and feel younger, and less maintenance, the better. And you want it to look effortless and not like we just had our hair done. I feel like with a haircut and with color, like you don't want to look like you just left the salon. You want to maintain a healthy glow and like healthy hair.
Have it look natural.
Always.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, what was your question that you had asked? How to maintain
like your color for as long as you can, like to make it look effortless and natural without, having to go back every few
every
weeks
month and have a full run.
Yeah.
I would say, definitely you got to protect it with like the leave-in conditioning and SPFs for your hair. And, a toner on your color doesn't last really longer than a month. So even if you feel like you just had all your highlights done and your hair was toned and it looks great, but now it's looking like a little brassy, there's so much that happens, even with the water here in Las Vegas, your pipes in the house, everything affects how your hair, the color turns out. I have a client who she literally she rinses her hair with distilled water because her pipes turn her hair green. And she's tried to have it fixed so many times, but her hair just like absorbs whatever is in like the copper piping or whatever.
That's crazy.
So it's I feel so bad because we're always like trying to figure something out, but her hair is so beautiful after we do it, but then she really does have to use a gallon of distilled water to rinse and wash her hair. So it is important just to, condition your hair, and heat is really going to damage it. I had just seen this video somebody posted on Instagram, and it was just showing like the heat damage from, a flat iron on your hair and what it does to your color. And it really just lightens it and oxidizes it so drastically that, it lightens your color 2 shades or makes it brassy. And you just have to be careful with the heat you're putting on it. And if you are using heat, to use a protectant. Okay, Moroccan oil has a spray heat protectant that's really great that I love. I used it on you, I think, last time we did your hair. And it really is great, and it smells good too.
So using heat like as less as possible.
Little as possible.
You extend the life of your color.
Yeah. Okay. And chlorine, now that we're getting into summer too, is like so bad for your hair, and I've always told my daughter, like, before you go swimming or go in any, like, even salt water, like, wet your hair in the shower or in the hose or wherever you can, like wet it with water or a spray bottle or even like a leave-in conditioner before you get into water, because the cuticle is going to soak up any chemicals that are in there, and it's going to change your hair green. Like, no matter what, it's going to change the color.
My mom always used to tell me that, and I didn't believe her.
Man, hair is tough work, ladies. I'm telling you, there's a lot that goes into this.
It's like a sponge. It soaks up everything. So let it soak up all the conditioning treatments and all these great products that are out there for us.
Okay.
You're going to see me hosing off before I get in.
Yeah.
I actually don't doubt that one bit. Quickly pausing this episode of the show to let you know that my private one-on-one coaching container is now open. Over the course of 2021, I'm only going to be working with a small, select group of women to help them return to feeling like they're at home in their bodies, to help them lose resistant weight, to feel less anxious and more energized. My one-on-one coaching is truly for you if you're tired of feeling depleted, overwhelmed, bloated, or like you're just not enough. There's no magic pill or cleanse or detox that's going to work. You are really ready to make that commitment to yourself and create the habits that will lead you to hormonal balance and vibrant health. I'm here to help you get to the root cause and create meaningful change. If you're feeling called to work with me so that you can finally feel at home in your body, head to the link in the show notes to learn more.
Let's talk about the salon game for a moment. We've talked to a lot of different people on the show, and I think generally there's a move towards convenience and people doing things at home, obviously heavily exacerbated by COVID. Do you see salons or the need for salons coming down or not as much?
For me and my business, it was really difficult. The yo-yo back and forth. Salons are open, salons are closed.
Right, yeah.
There's all these restrictions, but now there's not. Or, so for me, I'm in the salon a couple days a week, and I'm still doing house calls a couple days a week.
Yeah.
So for my business, it's worked better for me to be able to accommodate my clients who are working from home and, aren't comfortable coming into the salon yet.
Yeah.
But I do still see salons opening, and I see more and more studio salons, opening and people choosing to go into a studio. other than bigger salons.
Is that kind of like a WeWork structure for salons? You can rent a space per week?
I think that was created with salons way before WeWork ever existed.
Well, I'm trying to make it relevant for, guys and others that don't understand the business model. But is that very common? Like, is it reasonable to assume that in many or most salons, they're not all full-time employees of that salon? It's a lot of people that, are renting the space part-time, what have you.
A lot of salons nowadays aren't just one way or the other. They're hybrid. So they are
Gotcha.
rental.
When you guys had your salons, what was yours? What was your model?
So when we first started our salon, it was 2010 and we were just starting out. So all we knew was just to do rental and it was easy. So you're getting a certain amount of rent for each station and it was good. But then it's like, once you get full, we're like, what do we do now? How do we make more money and how do we become more successful?
Right. Yeah.
Raise the rent.
We were like, raise the rent, but then what?
Is there a revenue share also? So yeah.
What we had done is we decided to go hybrid also. So we started off, I would train somebody and then they would become a commission stylist. So I knew that they were trained well and they were going to do a good job. And we just started with 1 to 2 people. And then from there, we were like, I started an assistant program. So my assistant would stay with me for a year. And then once she was done with me, she would go on the floor as a commission stylist for 2 years and then have the choice to go into renting or staying commission. But we would fill them up and book them and train them. So we knew that we had good stylists on the floor that were going to be doing good work. So
gotcha.
That's the way that we had done it. And it worked pretty well. So it was both commission and rental.
And then when it comes to all the expensive products that, people in your field use, is that like a shared cost between the company and the stylist? Or is it usually, because I remember you saying that you spent a lot of money and you didn't even cover your costs. Like, does that all fall on the stylist?
So when I was an independent renter, I had to cover all my own costs and pay rent. As a salon owner, for our commission stylists, we would provide, they provided all of their color and products, and then there was a commission cut. So, we would, instead of paying them, they wouldn't pay us rent, they would give us their, I think it was 60-40 at the time.
Gotcha.
And then that was just their rental, their station, and, towel service, their locker, product, staff bar, but they had to provide their styling products.
And then what percentage of the revenue is like selling products to the customers? Because I know that's a decent part of the business, right? Is a lot of the maintenance products. And then,
you need this.
Of course, you're making margin on those if you're willing to answer.
Well, I wish I knew the exact number, the percentages, but my ex and I, when we ran the salons, he was all the business part of it.
Right.
I was the behind the chair, able to train the stylists and help with the customers. I definitely would, keep track of inventory and tell them what products are selling and what we need to reorder.
Right.
But the finance part of it was definitely his department. So that's why I think it worked so well.
It's fair, a very
like
fair assessment, because when I just walked in here, he's like, you haven't done the accounting for the podcast. And I look at him and I said, I'm the talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We get audited. I'm the talent.
Okay. So Jess, we know you're super busy. Obviously you have clients here, all day, every day. You're going to people's houses, and then you're also going to the salon, and then you're also traveling to LA because your boyfriend lives there. Yeah. So, and I know you were talking about last time I saw you, even maybe wanting to eventually start seeing clients there. So tell us how you keep your sanity with such a busy schedule, and how do you, just like tips for people to be productive and efficient, but not like feel like they're overwhelmed, because you always have this really calm, grounded energy to yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's funny because last night my girlfriend said to me, because I am always on the go, and she's like, don't you wish that you could just sit on your couch and have a spindrift? Like, do you ever just sit down and have a cold spindrift? Like, I love sparkling water.
Those are good.
Yeah, but when am I going to? And she's like, can't you just cancel your weekend and say you're sick? Don't you want to? No. Like, I mean, I just think that sometimes for me, I do like staying busy and always having, stuff going on. And ever since I started dating my boyfriend who lives in LA, it's been 20 something months now, but we do try to see each other every week. So it is back and forth and traveling. And then, I'm a mom also. So I guess I learned, I think a long time ago that I worked so much and so many hours, and I never said no to anybody. It was always yes. Can I come in at 5? Can I come in at 6? Can you take me at 7? Like, I always said yes, and I always found a way.
Oh, this is such a good tip. This is so good. Keep going.
Gosh, but time goes by so fast, and I wouldn't change it for the world, because I loved what I did at that time, and I love what I do now, and I love that I had kids young, and they were a part of all of it, and they saw me work really hard, and we had them in the salon with us, and we would have them sweeping hair, and we'd have them sitting at the front desk and greeting people. And so I think, like, showing your kids what you have to do to be successful and what you have to do to take that great vacation is really important. But, I lost my son 4 years ago, and I think that now, after all of that, it's just so important to enjoy like the small little moments that you have that make you happy. So I have my daughter, she's 13 now. And, to just be able to sit on her bed with her and sit next to her while she's watching TikTok, like anytime I can get with her, I will take, even if she wants nothing to do with me. But it's like, and usually, Adam will say like, you should tell her to get off her phone and spend some time with you. And it's like, this is time for a 13-year-old, as long as I'm sitting next to her and, cuddling up on her bed, that's fun to me. And
I think that's like what you said about like, always saying yes, like you setting up those boundaries, like that is exactly what leads to not overwhelm, like not people pleasing, like just doing what feels right for you. And I think that's so awesome.
And not caring like what people think of you, like do not care what anybody thinks of you. Think of what your son thinks of you. Think of what Chad thinks of you as a mother and a wife. And, that's the number one important thing is your family at home and not pleasing anyone else, and just making sure that you stay grounded and true to your values and what makes you happy, because we only have this one little life and it goes by so fast.
I think that with Michael, that was her son, is her son. And like that, I think that's such a beautiful lesson to take away from what happened, with him passing 4 years ago. I think that the time to slow down and being more present and just being with the ones you love the most and setting up the boundaries so that you don't feel overwhelmed. I think that's such a great takeaway for our audience.
I think for so long, I, of course, like questioned myself and like, I wish that I wouldn't have worked so much. For a long time, I said, I wish I wouldn't have worked so much. I wish I would have come home, or, Michael texted me and said, when are you coming home? Or what time are you going to be here? I wish so much that I could have taken all those hours back and been home sitting next to him or listening to him. But you never know what's going to happen. And you just have to know that you do the best that you can in that moment. And, you teach your kids everything that you can and what you think is right. And you enjoy every moment you actually have with them. So, I wish I could remember every conversation that I ever had with him. And I wish I remembered every funny face he made or everything. But I'm so lucky that I had 12 years with him, and, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's so beautifully said. So one more question for you before we go into the wrap up questions, because I think we've covered like your business and hair tips and all of that, but with like what you just said and like how you've kind of restructured your life around work and family balance, like where do you see your business in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, it's interesting because I feel kind of like my business like has gone full circle almost.
Okay.
Like when I first started doing hair, I always wanted to do hair in LA. That's where I wanted to start my business and assist somebody great. And, you know, I just always saw myself there. And so it's funny now because I feel like I've done everything I could do here and I still love working. I still have such a passion for hair. And even like after Michael had passed, I didn't work for a long time. I took almost 2 years off. I was just, I had a friend who is a party planner and asked me if I would be interested in doing weddings. And that's really what got me back into doing work and working with people and, you know, learning how to be out in the real world again. Yeah. Because I didn't have to talk about myself. It was just such a happy day that, you know, there was so much love in the room. And I felt like, you know, I didn't need to ask any questions. Nobody was asking questions about me and how I'm doing and about my son or anything.
Yeah, the bride.
I'm the happiest day of her life. So that's what got me back into doing work. But slowly getting back into the salon, I still love what I do. I think I always will. I'm so lucky that I do love it. But then after meeting my boyfriend who lives in LA, it's just crazy to me because I love like where our place is in Studio City. It's like walking distance to Ventura Boulevard. And I mean, there's great salons right there. So I've always told him like, I could definitely see like, you know, I would never move my daughter to LA if it wasn't her choice, ever. But she's 13 and she's only got 4 more years of school. So there's great schools in LA. So that's why I said like, maybe this is where it ends. Maybe I will be able to work in both places. Like I always dreamed of, you know, so that's the hope is maybe, you know, looking into working a couple days a month in LA and starting a clientele there as well.
It's so funny that you said that because when I was in LA, like probably, it had been like 4 weeks ago now, but I had a woman stop me at the dermatologist and she was like, "Where do you get your blonde done? I have to know." I was like, "Oh, I don't live here." So
yes,
your first client's already there.
Nice. That's awesome.
All right. So at the end of each show, we ask the same questions. They're rapid fire questions. So whatever comes to your brain, just fire it out. You want me to go first or you want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, you go first.
What's your morning routine?
Okay. Well, I try not to move too quickly because then my dogs say, "Okay, we're up and it's time to take us out."
Totally.
Sneak out of bed, use the restroom, brush my teeth, start the coffee, and then I'll take the dogs out. And then I have, you know, half a banana or a juice, and I go to the gym every morning. And, you know, I never did that until I met my boyfriend who owns a training app called Shred, and he's a trainer. And so I work out every single morning. And if I don't, and it's not because I feel like I have to, but if I don't, like my whole day is just thrown and I don't have energy.
Totally.
It makes you feel so like a different human being in how you show up in the rest of your day, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and then I always have to make sure and wake my daughter up because now she does school. I take her laptop to her bedroom and open it up at 7:54 for her 7:55 class. Say, log in, hurry.
It's time.
What a world.
All right. What is the best thing you've eaten this week?
Well, the best thing. Well, I had parsley today. You turned me on to that.
I love parsley. Yeah.
I did have
really good Mediterranean food.
I don't even know what day it is, actually, to know what I had good. Oh my gosh.
Parsley's good. I think that's a good answer.
Okay. I don't think I cooked a meal this week, but that was good today.
If you were a color, what would you be? This one might be hard. You see all the colors.
It's not too hard. I really love like a lavender or pastel blue. Those are my favorite.
Okay. I see that. Very calming. That's like your presence though. That's like I said, you're very like grounded, but like very still sweet. I definitely see the lavender for you.
Thank you.
What's on your nightstand?
Oh, well, I have a ton of books stacked up that I haven't finished.
Okay.
I always start books, but I have the hardest time finishing because I always just want to start the next one.
What would, if you have one that you could recommend, what would it be? Do you have one that you really like?
Hair for Dummies.
No, I don't have that one. Signs is a good one. I really love
that one.
reading about, signs. And after my son passed, I was like really drawn to near-death experience stories and the other side. And, it just
signs
really,
from our
really
angels
fun.
and stuff like that.
Yes. Yep. I've got a stack of those and a noise machine, and I always have it on now, like white noise always.
Oh, I like it. Does that make you sleep better?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can't have it be quiet. I hear everything, and it really just helps calm me.
Okay. I like it.
Highly recommend.
That's a great tip.
Those damn dogs are always
Snoring.
running amok.
Snoring. Yes. I have heard them snore outside your door before.
Yeah, that's one of them in particular. So give our listeners your best tip for balancing the chaos. I think she kind of answered it, honestly, before, but
About
anything else you might add?
Anything else?
I would say to just be present, to let your kids be loud at the dinner table, let them be silly, let them walk around at a restaurant and say hello to people. Don't be so uptight. Like, let them be kids, let them, talk, and just be silly and funny and have fun and not so uptight. Just be so grateful for this life. That's it.
I think that Chad really likes that answer.
I do love that answer.
I definitely.
I used to be me. I used to be like, shh, but why? Let them bring the toys to the table and play. Like, people who don't enjoy that, they should not be out. Kids are
not meant to sit in a chair and stare at a plate
for an hour,
2 hours.
Silent. Like, they're learning everything, and just enjoy life and not to be so uptight, I would say.
I love it.
Live in the moment.
It has been a pleasure. This has been such a good interview. Thank you so much for delivering so much amazing content to our listeners. We love you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a safe flight.
Have a good flight. We'll see you soon. Bye, babe.
Okay, bye.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. You can also connect with us on social media at Wellness by Kelley. Drop us a DM for who you want to hear from.